Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And as you can see today, we're on a very old machine, and it's an absolutely glorious day. It's the end of June 2024. We've been moaning for weeks how cold and wet it's been, and this last 10 days or so has been absolutely beautiful. Very little rain where I live, which I'm happy about, because I'm just fed up with rain, and now summer's come good and we're thinking about steam rallies. So yeah, this is a 1930 Hart Parr 1224 tractor, and we're getting it ready for Weeting steam rally, which is in a couple of weeks time, end of July. And I've got a few jobs to do on it, mainly to just make sure it runs nicely for the rally. And but first of all, I'm going to take you round it, a quick walk around, show you what it is, show you more or less how it works, and just a general overview of the machine itself. So let's go and have a look. So Hart Parr is a ancient tractor manufacturer, and they are credited with founding or finding the tractor industry. There is a bit of a dispute over that, more of which I'll do in a later video. But this tractor in front of us, the original concept of this design was first seen in 1919, and it was a huge departure from the tractors of the period. There were other tractors that were starting to look like tractors, but before this, most agricultural tractors were absolutely humongous stationary engines on wheels, absolutely huge. You can remember they were working in America on prairie fields, and space was not a problem. All they wanted was horsepower, huge iron machines that ran on petrol and paraffin and oil, and they pulled big ploughs and harrows and such like, and they also were used for threshing machinery, belt power and all of that sort of thing. Eventually they became too heavy, and the manufacturers found that they could basically get the same performance with a much smaller unit, so they started to downsize the units. Fordson was the first really major player to design a tractor as it looks today, really. Compact unitary unit. The chassis was all part of the casting, the engine and the transmission. But other than that, most manufacturers were building channel iron frames like this, sticking in a couple of cylinder engines, 2 cylinders, maybe even single cylinder engines, very rudimentary designs, steel wheels generally, and they were still heavy. This thing still weighs 2 tons, so it's a pretty hefty piece of equipment. As I say, the original concept for this design came about in 1919, and Hart Parr built this tractor more or less all the way up to 1930, and the one in front of us is 1930. It's one of the last ones ever built. Built in Charles City in Iowa in the USA. It came over to this country in 2023, and I bought it as you see it now. And it was in a museum for about 30 years, we believe, as a static display. I bought it. It was shipped into the UK last summer, and I agreed to buy it, not knowing anything about it. I didn't know if it would run, I didn't know if there was any damage to it, whether anything was missing. It was bought almost completely blind from an auction of this museum. And effectively, to cut a long story short, I basically cleaned the carburetor, cleaned the magneto points, put some fuel in it, and I got it running. And I haven't looked back. It's incredible that this thing has been sat for 30 years, sorted out the oil issues, because there were some lubrication issues which I'll go into another time, sorted all that out. As I say, cleaned the carburetor, cleaned the points on the mag, flushed out the water system, and she ran, and it drives and runs absolutely beautifully. So I'm well chuffed. We've had it at a couple of shows last year, and it's been tucked away in the shed all winter, and now it's time to come out because we're taking it to Weeting, and hopefully we'll be doing some work with it at Weeting as well, but that remains to be seen. So this is a Hart Parr 1224, serial number 43013, which puts it firmly in 1930 model year build. In 1930, Hart Parr had designed a new tractor in collaboration with the Oliver Farm Equipment Company. Oliver bought Hart Parr in 1929 and set about redesigning the tractor range, and that then rendered this type of machine completely obsolete. 1224 is the horsepower rating, so 12 means it's 12 horsepower at the drawbar, and 24 means it's 24 horsepower at the flywheel. So effectively 24 brake horsepower, and then about half of that power is lost through the drivetrain, so that by the time you get to the drawbar you're down to 12 horsepower for pulling implements, ploughs and such like, and cultivators. That's what the 1224 means. It's a 2-cylinder engine. All this unit here, all of this is engine, and it works with magneto ignition. That's one of the things I'm needing to change because it's the incorrect magneto. It has got what they call, or what they term, a pressure lubricator for oiling the engine. Okay. Water pump for circulating the water. Fuel tank on the top. Huge radiator on the front for cooling. Unusually, the exhaust exits from the front of the tractor. We've got a fan on the back of the radiator, which is driven off of a friction drive off the flywheel here. This is the flywheel for the engine, and we can put that in and out as we need. We've got the clutch plate, which is this part here. The gearbox is this tub here, and gear shifter with the lever at the end. 3 forward speeds and 1 reverse. Belt pulley for running off the belt, various implements, thrashing machines, chaff cutters, all sorts of grinding mills, that sort of thing. And as we come around the back, we've got hand clutch for putting drive in and out. That's both for drive forward and back, and also for the belt pulley. This end is the gubbins end of the engine, so under here we've got all the valves, the rockers, the tappets. We've got a huge Chevrolet brass carburettor, fuel tank for starting. We've got steering box down there and a traction engine style steering wheel. And then right on the back, nice tin seat, big platform for working in and standing on, and the all important brake. Block of wood. This thing does not have brakes. Instead we have a block of wood. It can be a bit hairy to drive, but yeah, you have to concentrate on what you're doing with no brakes, and also make sure that people are aware of what's happening so that you don't run them over, because you can't stop. Now this has got what's called a total loss lubrication system, so very much like a traction engine. In this box here, it's full of oil, and the lever arm here is basically working 5-6 pumps inside the box. Okay. As the pumps are worked, piston pumps, they pump oil up out of these little tubes, and the oil then drips into this cup, and then the oil runs down inside that cup and is then pumped out of these pipes to various points on the engine, and it then drips into the engine onto the bearings where it's needed. And then what happens it passes through the engine and it exits under here with these 2 taps where they've got these little cans which are catching oil. So you can either have it draining straight onto the ground, or we can recycle the oil and it goes back through those pipes to the back transmission final drives and goes into the gear cases of the final drives and lubricates the final drives. So we got some
oil recirculation going on. Well, not recirculation, but oil reuse of oil. But then eventually what happens is it then drips out on the floor into the soil, and then it goes back into the ground again.
And every so often, of course, we've got a sight glass. We've got a sight glass on the box here, so that we can see how much oil we've got in there. And every so often we top the oil up using the filling cap just there. And it takes, well, it takes anything it will take. I can't think what it's called in the book, but it's something like medium machine oil or something like that. I've got SAE 40 in here. You haven't got anything special, no special additives or anything. This is very, very rudimentary engineering, but of course it does the job, and exactly that's what you need it to do in 1919. You need it to do the job, and if you can just chuck oil at it and it's lubricated, that's all that matters. Now the magneto I've got on here is it's a magneto that is 2-cylinder magneto. It's Fairbanks Morse, but it's not the correct one, but it's what it came with, and I have got the proper magneto to go on here. And the problem with this magneto is it is fixed timing. There's no advance and retard on this magneto, so once it's set for starting, that's it. And the problem you have is that when you turn the thing from petrol to paraffin or kerosene, you need to be able to operate the advance and retard spark timing on the magneto to get it to run properly. So that's one of the jobs I've got to do, is to take off the mag and replace it with the correct one, fit the advance and retard lever, and then hopefully we can control the timing so that it will run correctly on paraffin. So it's a petrol paraffin tractor, petrol paraffin engine. You start it on cold on petrol, we allow it to warm up. Once it's warm, then we turn it over to paraffin. It is also missing an air cleaner. There should be an air cleaner box here, and then a pipe which goes up fixed to this bar, and then an air cleaner pipe which goes up 3 or 4 foot above the head of the driver, so it always is sucking clean air. That's missing. Difficult to find. Whether I'll ever find one, not sure, but we'll see how we go. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Steel wheels, of course, of the period. Very few tractors of that period had rubber tyres on at the time. They didn't go on the roads. They did sell some of these to highways departments for working as industrial machines, but again didn't really need rubber tyres because they were basically breaking ground and grading and that sort of thing, so they weren't really working on tarmac. The ones that were working on tarmac, I think it did have an option for rubber tyres, certainly possibly solids rather than pneumatics. And but yeah, agricultural machine, it's all steel wheels. A honking great drawbar on the back for towing your implements, and a really, really lovely toolbox full of lovely oily things. So that's our Hart Parr 1930 1224 tractor, and next video we'll be doing the magneto on it, and what I've got to do is fit a new magneto and put in a control rod and lever for the advance and retard. So that will come up on the next time, and I need to get that ready for the steam rally that we're going to, so hopefully get that done in the next couple of weeks. So if you like to follow what we do with this tractor, and also any of our mechanical adventures for that matter, please like and subscribe. Every little helps. If you put a like on, every little helps there, and if you're new to the channel, then please subscribe so that you can keep up with what we do. Our channel is full of all sorts of things. Restore, renovate, rejuvenate is our motto. We basically take mechanical history of any period and try and make it work and come back to life. So that's what we're doing. And if you'd like to keep up with what we're doing, say, put a subscription in, and any comments gratefully received and very welcome. And yeah, please like. So till the next time, stay safe, stay well, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care and bye for now.